In this video, I will walk you through how to run SEM analysis in JASP. As I mentioned in my previous video, in the lecture video, SEM would be performed through syntax. So you should get familiar with syntax on how to write it appropriately for JASP. Before I show you the JASP software, let me draw your attention to the website of the Lavan. This is the website that I also put on my previous page of our module. But as you go to the Lavan, go to tutorials, and there are two examples here that are most relevant to our today's class. Is a CFA example and an SEM example. So if you click on CFA example, there is much more information and we are not covering it all. We are only doing the very basics in this class. So in this example, there are three latent classes. There are three latent factors which are specified with 9 indicators. So the latent factor visual has 3 indicators x1, x2 and x3. So the way how you would specify it using syntax is as follows. Visual, that's the name of your factor. Then you have equal sign, the tilde sign, and then x1 plus x2 plus x3. Likewise, for textual factor, you have 3 indicators, x4, x5, x6. And so you would write textual, equal sign, tilde sign, and then x4 plus x5 plus x6. Likewise, for speed factor, which has 3 indicators, x7, x8 and x9, you would follow the same procedure. So this is the syntax for the CFA portion. In this syntax, the 3 latent factors are correlated. As you can see, the formula for any kind of latent variable is as follows. There is more information included. You can look through this, but I will not be really focusing on this in this class, just because of our time constraints. So let's take a look at the SEM example. Here, the example uses the same factor structure, so the same CFA model, but there are directional path coefficients that are specified among the latent factors. Also, in this example, the arrow terms between the items, so the item variances, are set to correlate. This is something that we will not be doing in our class because we're using cross-sectional data, but just so that you would understand, in this data they administered the same 4 items in 1960 and then in 1965. So you would expect item 1 administered in 1960 to be correlated with item 1 or Y5 in 1965. So this is why we have this pair of covariates or pairs of correlations among the items. Additionally, there are some additional covariates here which were included to improve the model. And that's one way to improve the model. But recall from our previous class, most of your variances of indicators should not be correlated. Anyways, so the syntax for this model will look the following. The measurement model, which essentially is the CFA model. Includes 3 latent factors, which are specified by 3 items here, 4 items here, and 4 items here. And then there is regression component. Regression component is this structural relationships. One latent variable is predicting the other latent variable, then this latent variable is predicting the third latent variable, and the first variable also predicting the third variable. So as you can see, you specify your dependent variable first, and then you have the tilde sign, and then you write your independent variables for that model. Likewise, if your dem65 is predicted by dem60 and int60, then you would specify your dependent variable first, tilde sign, and then you will list your independent variables with a plus sign. Here we also have residual correlations. So residual, these are our variances. So it's these correlations. So they are spelled here. Y1 is correlated with Y5. It's this one. Y1 is correlated with Y5. Y2 is correlated with Y6. So it's going to be specified here. And Y2 is also correlated with Y6 and Y4. So you can see this line and also this line. This is what essentially the syntax specifies. In our today assignment, we will not be doing any residual correlations, but if you were to include them ever in your work, that's how you would be doing. So you can look through this once again for a refresher, or just keep in mind that there's this page available as an example, and you can always refer back to it. So we will be specifying our measurement model, our CFA model, and our regression, or the path essentially component, using the syntax. So I already started JASP program, but I still need to open my data. I'm using the data from yesterday. So I'm going to open computer browse, and I'm opening the same CSV file that I did yesterday. So it loaded. Here I already have preloaded SEM. If you do not have this sign here, make sure that you go to the right menu to show and to check the SEM. If you're using Mac, I don't really recall where it is, because on the Mac that I have with me in Ukraine, JASP is not, I'm unable to install JASP just because my laptop is too old. But I believe that the menu to add SEM is located here. And also the video on the previous page, that is not mine, but the one that I linked in your resources, in that video, it's explained how to do it. All right. So before I proceed, I will change all my variables to scale data again. One by one. So this window popped up, that was by accident. I'm just gonna close it. And next, I'm just gonna click on SEM. So I'm ready to run my SEM model. So in our model, we will first specify the 3 latent factors. Mastery goal, and just because I do not want to spend time writing master goal, I'll just use short labels. So master goal includes 3 indicators. They are G1, G2, and G3. So a word of caution is make sure that these indicators are displayed exactly the same